Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Buy Around podcast. I'm your host James Graham, and today, as always, I'm joined by Charlie White and Fresh in, bringing out the garbage.
Well, do you know what? I try to stay away from the media for a week. My big sister said, "Can you stay out of it?" I said, "No problem." And they keep on dragging me back in. It's a street fight, old-fashioned street fight, bare knuckles.
Gorden, thanks for joining us. Charlie, great to see you as always.
Great to see you, Jimmy. Good to have the first feud of the year as well. Adam Reynolds v. Gorden Tallis.
There's no feud.
Or is it Maguire?
Or is it, yeah.
Listen, why is there a feud?
No, I wouldn't say it's a feud. It's just a...
Well, let's start off with the show, so I'll make a statement.
Okay.
I'm making a comeback to play.
You can make it come back to play.
No, listen.
For
the
the
thing is, right?
Titans.
So you're in the show.
You're
in the
we've had
show.
player
It was
coach.
6 hours.
Hang on,
Listen.
we've had player coach,
Listen.
player owner. Oh my goodness me.
It was 6 hours of radio, right?
Yeah.
6 hours. Mm-hmm. It was said in the fourth hour, just on it's not great optics, and I don't
Which
think
is
it
correct.
Which is correct.
With, something I didn't think about, but it is correct.
Like it's not good when you like if they'd won two and you know they're flying. Well, you just and if it's Kieran Foran the way they play and they bust themselves, you give them a bit of leeway, right? But when you're under the pump, I just said it's not great optics. He must be right to play. That was as deep as it got, and they got and then they took offence to it. But I will stand by that because if that was me in my career, and I got injured and we're down two, and I'm not looking after my injury in the first 24 hours and giving myself every possible opportunity to go out and play that next week for my teammates, Wayne would have been filthy. Wayne Bennett would have, he wouldn't have let me go on I don't think, because I would have had to clear it with the club and they would have said no. That's my era. So maybe I'm stuck in the dinosaur ages and everybody goes, it's okay to do Of course it's okay to do television. That's what I get paid to do. And it's okay for him to look for the rest of his career. But in that moment, he was injured. So the most important thing for you as a rugby league player is get what? Get your body ready to go and perform to play footy. That's what you're paid to do.
And look, I think a couple of points that are worth, amplifying. I hold my hand up. I've had rib injuries, sternum injuries, what people would describe as cork or dead legs, tightness, and I've gone out on the piss when I shouldn't have. Yeah. But you know what? I made sure I played the next week. I've not always treated my injuries with the utmost respect.
1,000,000%.
And that was it is almost the previous generation.
Yeah.
Like now with the modern day player, it is very,
rib
very
cartilage, you just play. Like, I'm not being rude, so I didn't even say that. Like, rib cartilage, you play Origin. Like, mate, you just got to get back out there. You don't have a week off with rib cartilage.
And to be fair, I can understand why the Broncos, the coaching staff and Reynolds would decide it might be best to sit this one out. But then again, that comes back to the optics of it. And I think, I'm even thinking back and looking at the Broncos, and feel free to use this argument as well. Remember the treatment of Shibasaki last year?
Yeah.
When he didn't prepare properly for a game, and he was subsequently dropped for, I believe, the game against Melbourne. Did he miss round 26 or round 27 last year?
It was really close towards the finals.
It was really close towards the finals where he's gone outside of protocol. And he
great point, Jimmy.
He was dropped because of it. So, and speaking of Shibasaki, he's been dropped again. But I mean, Gordy, with the response from Maguire,
well, he's under the pump, right? Because of the club and what it is and how big it is. And don't forget, and I said it, and everybody thinks it's me versus Maguire or whatever, right? Wayne Bennett, 6 titles at that club. He got sacked. Then the new fresh-faced kid in Seabolt was there. He got sacked. Then Kevy Walters, that had been at the club for 35 years, got sacked. Now they got a guy that in his last club, team was the West Tigers, is there now coaching, and it's a big job. It's a massive job. And when you don't perform, or like Reece Walsh was under the pump, he scored 2 tries. Reece Walsh pretty much got him back in form. And if he doesn't play last year in these last 4 games, he doesn't win. But yet he's under the pump. And Ezra Mam's under the pump, who was out injured or, is carrying an injury and comes, and then an Australian centre after 2 games gets dropped. I'm not doing any of that. That's the pressure of that organisation. The Bulldogs have spoken about this week. When you're in a big club and you make decisions and you got rusted on fans and you're big and they expect success, there's rumblings. And what it's rumblings is, and that's what you want. So ideally, right? Ideally, you want the fans to care. You want everybody to have a say. You want your ex-players to really care about that jersey and where it's going. And if they don't, it's a little bit sad, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Mate, if you played at a club and it's down and no fan got cranky, it's all right. It's totally different.
Yeah.
Like there's 2 sides, 2 ways to look at it.
I might be getting this phrase wrong, but roughly speaking, there's something about Manchester United, and it's like the phrase is hated or adored, but never ignored.
That's good. I like that.
We've
got to write this stuff down.
So
new tattoo.
That's what comes with a big with a big club.
That sounds
win
like
or
my
lose,
wife wrote that.
Win or lose,
when I walk in,
you're in the news. Like these are the sort of sayings that go to particular clubs. Like the Bulldogs, they didn't win or lose. They're on a bye week. They're in there. They're dominating the Sunday paper headlines. It's like, whoa! Hang on a minute. I thought we were supposed to chill. No. We're going to look at this and we're going to talk about 5 clubs that are in for this centre. Forget Isaac Tango that can't get a game at Penrith Panthers, who's on probably 750, 800, who they made a choice to let go of Stephen Crichton to elevate him to be in the next centre. Forget that. No, let's look at Cherry. But with the Broncos, hated or adored, they're never going to be ignored. Win, everybody wants a piece of your shit. Lose, and everybody's going to kick you.
And that's what you want. That's why there's 45,000 turn up there every week, and that's why they're rusted on, and that's what you want your fans to do. That's actually what you want. It's like the New York Nets when New York Nets played the Yankees or whatever, or Mets. It was a Subway Series. Those fans hate each other. They wouldn't even get on Subways together. Like they're always, mate, they want a sack. That's what you want, mate. In English Premier League, mate, a coach loses 2 games. Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah,
he's gone in 4 weeks or whatever. Like that's some find it harsh, but that's what the fans expect.
And I think, look, as well. Look, I've said those phrases about winning or losing, but for me, look, the Broncos have started 0-2. Any Premiership winner that starts 0-2, it's going to turn some heads, and people are going to start to ask why. Any Premiership winner where one of their best players chooses to leave when most people thought he would stay is going to turn heads, and we're going to ask questions. And then the captain of this Premiership winning team, who's on his last year, gets injured, comes off, and then is out in the public domain. And I read a quote from Maguire, and he basically spoke about the series of events. He was at training on Saturday, but he wouldn't have got back to the hotel after Fox till way gone midnight. We'd have flown back to Brisbane, then go to training, and these things make me question. It's maybe they've signed off on that. I don't know.
I travel every week, so I know a little bit what I'm talking about. That when I get home on Wednesday, and I fly home Wednesday or Thursday night late, right? My next day, you're not 100%. And I haven't played a game of footy. You guys come to Brisbane on, when we're doing a Triple M show and you get back, I'm sure Monday when you wake up, you're not 100. It's just, he just didn't, and I'll say it again, take Adam Reynolds' name out of it. Any player, any young player, you are paid to get your body right to perform on the Sunday. That's it. That's as deep as it gets.
Yeah, you know what? I was chatting with Fletcher Baker yesterday at a Bulldogs event, and he was talking about the Broncos, and he's saying, look, he's never experienced anything like it. And he spoke about was it Haas and Reynolds had that little bit of someone stood on someone's trainers.
The white trainers.
the white train, and it was
like, Kelly, wasn't it? It was the little.
Albert Kelly.
Yeah, just this, and he was like, but that's what you're dealing with.
Yeah,
That's what it. That's
well,
what it
Adam
comes.
Reynolds and Paddy Carrigan had a push and shove.
Yeah.
In a cab rank.
Yeah, and it got
Give me a break.
Yeah, and I know that the Broncos didn't they bring somebody in like a media trainer?
Grant Williams is the crisis manager there.
Like
no, there's a crisis manager.
So if he's doing his job right, 0-2, let's not put any. Let's not give ourselves up. Let's minimise the opportunity for us to be spoken about in a negative light. Let's control all those variables. One of those variables would have been, let's keep Adam. Even 0-2. Like if Reynolds goes in there's no injury, it's still not great. Yeah. You know, people would be inclined to say, why is he not? Like, and I've seen this before, and just thinking how fans think. I can remember I was at Coles, and this fan's like, shouldn't you be at training? Mate, it was like 11 o'clock. I'm like, mate, it's me day off. He's like, whoa, really? I'm like, yeah.
Mate, I get it now.
Yeah, like,
mate, I thought you'd be at the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like then, mate, if I get home and it's Friday, mate, I thought you'd be at the game. No, I'm going to sit on the couch and watch it at home.
Yeah.
People it's the expectations. That's what I'm saying. The optics of it, right? If you look, and then this is another thing. So I'll bring it up, right? So I say it. It goes through. It gets lost. And I say I do it. The journalist, Travis Main, picks it up. Says, I don't know. Doesn't he like the club? This is my point. It went through to the keeper. It went through to the blokes driving around. Why did the journalists pick it up and rub their face in it? So the Broncos shouldn't be talking about me. And and I'm being 100% serious here. You got a great relationship with these journalists, Peter Bedell and Travis Main. Why are they picking it up and rubbing your face in it? I said it on 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon with 5 people in the car. You guys put it to all of Brisbane and made it go out on the cycle. I didn't make it go out on the cycle. They're the ones that rehashed. Is that what you guys in social media?
Well, I was going to say I can understand why Travis Main would write that story because it's
sitting there listening to our show for 4 hours in a dark room
because it's
waiting for me to say something.
But it's an
just say it yourself. No. See, this is where we've got it wrong. I'm Gorden Tallis having my say.
Yeah.
To our fans. He's standing on my shoulders writing his column. I should clip him for it. Mate, I'm sick of ghostwriting their columns. Mate, I'm serious. Like, why am I ghostwriting their columns?
Yeah. It's
seriously. No, I'm being 1,000,000% serious. Why would he hate the club that much that he wanted to do it when I made a passing comment as an ex-player that's had broken bones and played in rib injury? So I'm talking as a player. He's talking about, I'm going to stick it to the club.
You're more than an ex-player.
But I think but that's my mindset, right? So when people talk to me, so I go in there.
You are more than an ex-player.
Okay, well, I'm a loudmouth ex-player.
No, you're
ex-captain of the club.
So when I want to talk about something, and I talk about that, and I was just sitting there for me, and now I'm at the Titans. If that happened there, so I'll put the shoe on the other foot. If that happens at the Titans, I don't like it. And I'd probably go up and tell the player, I said, that's not your job, right? And we pay you, and that's what happens. We as a game, and I'm talking about every player, you're paid to get yourself in the top physical shape that your coach can go, well, they're the best 17 prepared for this week. And that was my mindset as playing, and that's, I believe that I played for free, right? It was my whole mindset. I played for free. They paid me to train to get my body into a... No, seriously, like...
I know what you mean.
Like the whole preseason, I thought about what I got paid, but when you go on to game day, there was no money. There was no money, lack money in the world, mate. You'd play for free on that Sunday, Friday night, Saturday. That was the moment that you loved. But it's getting yourself to that point where you're sitting there in ice bars and, mate, or whatever you're doing, getting yourself right to play.
This podcast is brought to you by NordVPN, and as you can see, I'm here in a hotel room. I'm away in Las Vegas, Nevada, but I am protected. All thanks to NordVPN. The hotel Wi-Fi, great Thank you so much, Results World. But I want to be safe, so I'm using NordVPN. When I am away, I like to stay in touch with everything happening back home, which is now Australia, but also England as well. And I get to use all the apps, all the streaming services with one click of a button. In fact, no, I don't even need to click. It is on 24/7, 365 for me, NordVPN, because I don't want to worry about any of those people that are trying to get my sensitive information, my password, my login, my banking details. As we all know, our lives are on our phone now. So why not protect it with NordVPN? I often wish I could be in two places at once, Sydney, Liverpool, but I can't be. But I can be with NordVPN. I get to switch my location at the click of a button, which gives me advantages to be in two places at once. We all know we've got that overseas friend. Have you seen that show? Can't get it. Well, yes, you can. If you've got NordVPN, you can hide your location, change your location, and watch all the shows that those overseas friends get to enjoy that you don't. So to get the very best deal from NordVPN, head to nordvpn.com/James Graham, where you get 4 free months with a 2-year plan and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Click on the link in the show notes.
Is it a real concern that Adam Reynolds is already injured and it's round 2? He obviously had all the soft tissue injuries last year. Got injured in the grand final.
But this is a collision one, so yeah.
Not as concerning?
No, collision's a collision. You know, like if it was hamstring or quad again, you'd go, you know. But when it's, or shoulder or something like that, but like ribs, you know, generally you can needle them and keep on playing. So that's why I was surprised, you know, passing and that. But Melbourne Storm isolate you.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Like what they did to Jonah Peasant in round 1, what they do to sides, what happened to Ezra last week, right? How, you know, their halves are going to get a lot of traffic. Well, you know, that's probably another decision why they made it.
The timing of the story coming out was a bit strange because obviously it was like he got named on Tuesday, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
7:35 p.m. just after NRL 360 finishes.
Yeah, so if you fit at 4 but not fit at
7:35,
3.5 hours later.
Yeah, why did they name him in the first place?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I reckon 360 finished.
That's 7:29.
See you later. Bye-bye. See you next. No, I don't. Yeah, like it's going to get to the cycle.
But it's clear that, like, it's a strategic, right?
Yes.
Did I get that word right?
Yes.
Strategic, pretty much, yeah.
So strategic to name him at 4. Did I get that wrong?
You got it wrong that time.
Strategic.
I love this.
That's a word you don't say then. You got to learn.
It's a great,
It was a strategy.
It was a good move.
It was a strategy
Yeah.
to name him at 4 and then a strategy
But
to
do you know
drop
what?
him at 7:30.
But
Far out.
do you know what? Me thinking about this, right, which is dangerous, you would fly him down to Melbourne because he flew to Sydney, so you put him on the flight and you'd do it an hour before. You know how you got to put the teams up? So I would have pulled the wool over Melbourne's eyes,
Yeah.
right? So
Use
now,
him as bait. Or
right? You know what I mean? So like then all week he's playing, then there's that, then all of a sudden there's a shift, right? And sometimes it doesn't change anything, but now Melbourne just go, oh, sweet. So the kicking game. So what's the kicking game now? So, yeah, I mean, Billy Slater working with, you know, young Sewer, he'll be, okay, well, this is what's going to happen. So this is the new kicks that we're going to be looking at. So there's less, you know, preparation for the Melbourne players now with the kicking game. So, you know, that's the little art of war that I think that they might have, you know, lacked in this situation.
It's going to be fascinating how the combination does go because Ben Hunt's obviously going to play 7, Mam at 6, and then you got Walsh at the back. The best combination at times for them last year was Billy Walters, Ben Hunt, and Walsh. So is Ben Hunt the best guy to get the best out of Reece Walsh?
He does give a lot of early ball, and knowing Katoni over in the UK, that's what he loves. He loves early ball, and he's a handful. Reece Walsh likes early ball. They don't like getting it really laid off shape, you know, because like they see so much. So Ben Hunt was great at unlocking those guys last year. So there is a benefit, but that could have been a surprise attack. As I said, if Adam Reynolds goes all the way up and gets there and walks in with the headphones on and all that, and then 1 hour before. But what a great replacement. You got a State of Origin Australian and $1 million halfback. to be brought in.
It's not bad. Like still on paper, like this could be the spine for next year. Oh, sorry, no, Pezzet's in, isn't he? So,
Yeah.
But even that with Hunt potentially staying, it's still a strong spine.
And
Absolutely.
the positive is Brisbane will be up for it,
Yeah.
right?
Well, they
Like-
should be, mate. Like backs against the wall.
They're $3.30 on Ladbrokes.
It doesn't matter that because like players don't sit there and talk about mate,
No,
we're
but it's
paying this.
interesting, isn't it, that they're big outsiders. So they're more likely than not to go on 3.
Well, but I reckon it's a great challenge. After the grand final, the monkey was off their back.
Yeah.
And the monkey was off their back in a big way. Melbourne don't lose after leading. There was a lot of positives that came out of that grand final, and the belief now but they haven't won in the last 9 times going to Amy Park. That's 10 years. But that's another challenge, right? I reckon it's got to bring the best out of the Broncos, and I think it will.
A forced change with Adam Reynolds. The left-hand side defensively under the microscope. In the aftermath of the performance against Parramatta, it seemed to be Ezra Mam in the targets, or seemed to be the causation of a lot of those tries. But it's Shibasaki that has gone out of the team, and Gajewski as well.
HIA for Gajewski.
HIA for Gajewski. So you've got Willison, but then Shibasaki. You've got Mariner coming into the centre.
Yeah.
Grant
Well, that's
Anderson
a winger
onto the
defender in the
wing.
centre, so that's a bit unusual. And Anderson, but
do you feel for
do
do you feel for Shibasaki there?
Yeah, of course. Normally, when you wear the green and gold or play State of Origin, have the year that you had last year, you generally get more than 2 games. But you know what? That's probably cracking the whip, and that's making a change. Like that part, you can't argue with, right? You know what I mean? Because but then,
Well, I don't know, Gordon. If
What?
if you play on as part of a 4-man edge defensive system,
Yep.
or even you look at some of the middle,
Yep. Continuity,
like
conversation,
you'd look decision making within that edge,
Yep.
and again, it looked like it was more. Well, Kelma Tuolangi on the first one went straight through Ezra and
Gajewski.
yeah, nothing to do with Shibasaki in my opinion. There was one where Iongi on the outside of Mam. Could Shibasaki have done something about? I don't know. It just to isolate like that one centre when it seemed to be more systematic. I don't know, and like the Dogs.
So you're
aren't
saying
playing,
you wouldn't have made the changes?
I think it's harsh, yeah. Especially
If you're
when
bringing in Australian players,
especially
like
when
you
you,
would. Like if you're bringing in a rep player, you know how when it's like for like, you sort of tend to do it. Generally,
yeah,
You know what I mean?
and you're moving,
you're
Mariner
moving chess
in.
pieces around,
Yeah.
but you still got your pawns, you got your rooks, you got the big pieces to slot in. But don't forget, that's the first player that Madge signed.
Yeah, I get
you know,
that.
Then remember that. So that's his style of play. So he must just love him and go, okay, well, he's playing. You know what? The positive, playing against the old club, right? We struggled on that side of the field. This guy will know, the shapes that are, that are coming at him. So that's the positive.
Yeah, that is a positive. I guess, the fallout from this, Bronson Xerri misses a week. He's dropped. He's pretty reasonably paid centre. Shibasaki, we all know, is on minimal value of contract. Like, he is due an upgrade. He's not in the team. All these supposed clubs that are circling Bronson Xerri from a sense of unrest. Would you turn your attention, like Isaac Tango not playing, Timoko, was he? I don't know if he was.
No, he's in the extended bench for the Raiders.
So you've got Isaac Tango, Timoko, Bronson Xerri, Shibasaki. Like, there's 4 centres.
Yeah.
Like, is the spotlight going to turn from Xerri? Because I know you're going to get a bargain if you get Shibasaki at your football club. You wouldn't have to upgrade him too much.
Do you know what? Quiet, unassuming, but works really hard at, and got a great combination and connection with his players. So, when you go in there, like, I didn't know too much about him, but he's popular. Like there, and, one of those guys that don't say much, but he's got a smile, like they're always doing everything right. So, I don't think Brisbane said that they haven't thrown the baby out with the bathwater, that there's still a future at the club for Shibasaki. But, you know, I didn't think he was going that bad to get dropped, but that's, you know, as what Madge said, you got to be there behind the four walls.
The interesting thing with Shibasaki, though, is he's actually a free agent now. So Bronson Xerri's not a free agent.
Yeah.
He's got another year on his deal. So teams can come in now and sign Shibasaki for next year. Yeah. So it's
He won't get wasted. Like, if Parramatta are after a centre, if Melbourne Storm are after a centre, if Perth are after a guy, like, seriously.
Well, what's he worth then, do you think?
What's Xerri on?
Xerri's on 5, I think, at the moment.
5, 6, yeah. I don't think he's...
I reckon,
I don't know. What do you reckon he's worth, Jimmy?
Well, I think he's only on like 150.
Yeah, he was on minimum last year when he came in. He sort of came out of nowhere, didn't he, and just burst onto the scene. That was amazing.
Origin and,
best story of last year, really. The Japanese pearl farmer, his great granddad. We all heard that story.
I reckon teams would be going between 5 and 6, especially with Perth coming into the comp.
Yeah,
Like
even more maybe.
Coup. Yeah,
he could, with Perth, he could
more.
maybe get even touch 7. Kangaroo Centre. Titans might maybe give him 7. Who knows?
But listen, like, to play devil's advocate, how they would, you know, accommodate that. Well, Latrell couldn't get picked, Tommy couldn't get picked. You know, what I mean? Like, then that's how they would.
But he still,
like, that's how they say.
But he still got there.
But he played for his country, and
more importantly, he's not playing now.
No, and then when you
not in
saw
the team.
Toya and Shibasaki get named, like, people were laughing.
Yeah, 100%.
No, but like they were, and it was, and then. Talking to Billy, he was so confident that they'd get the job done. So, like, he's a player. He's got a future.
The other centre in the headlines, Jimmy, your man Bronson Xerri, he's been officially now dropped for Inari Tuala, which is obviously very surprising for most people given, you know, from the outside looking in, Xerri seems like a much better player than Inari Tuala, but he has been given the axe, Jimmy.
Yeah, he has. I honestly don't know too much about what's happened there. Obviously, what got played out in the press was denied by Gus Gould, the entire Bulldogs camp, Bronson Xerri's representatives. So, for whatever reason, whether it's football attitude, I don't know. But he's out of the team, and that's just part of being a footballer sometimes. If you're not up to standard, I know with Cam Serraldo, he's not afraid. As he showed last year, he's not afraid to make these tough calls. And I know we've spoken about Brisbane and some forced changes, unforced changes. I've looked at the defence. Hard to see what Shibasaki did wrong. Same with anything with the Dogs there. I don't know why. I don't know the reason as to why Bronson Xerri isn't in the team.
What about last night on the other night on 360? It come up that the Bulldogs, when they have a breakup, it just seems to be a bust up. You know, where Brisbane with Shibasaki, it's like, oh yeah, well he's there, and there's commentary about it, but it's not as big. And then the Dogs, you know, with Marnie, with Sexton, it always seems to be like a bust up.
Well, I think Toby Sexton was a little bit different, but certainly Reid and Bronson, they're two big egos.
Yeah.
Man. Like two big personalities.
And every player is different, right?
Yeah.
And every scenario is different, and you know what the club needs.
Yeah, I think I said this numerous times. Heard the story of Tom Jenkins from Penrith not getting picked in the finals last year, and he was, oh look, I'm disappointed, but there's no point in kicking stones, and you know I'll be back, and he's got himself back into the team. And maybe that's Tom Jenkins' personality, or that's his standing within the game, or that's his standing within the Penrith Panthers. But I know Reid Marnie, he was once the captain of the club. He's looking at going, why am I on the out? Yep. What have I done? I'm trying my guts out here. Bronson would be the same. And look, I jokingly say this about centres, but they are the most egotistical people in our game.
Yeah.
Like they think they're God's gift to the game. Like, where would we be without them? And we laugh a little bit about that, but honestly,
who are you talking about when you're referencing?
Well, they're all a bit individualistic. They all think, oh, we control our edge. My decision as a centre determines what everyone else does. It's like, shut up. It's a system. It's not all on you. Like, but they genuinely, they would have, and you know, like sprinters, they're almost like individual athletes because everything that I
Coming
do,
out of
and
your
then
half, mate, you go.
Yeah, we'll
Mate, getting down close to the try line, get out of the road,
Yeah.
mate. Give us some early ball. You serious?
like, oh, I'm a left side, I'm a right side.
Yeah,
like,
but see, I had Steve Renouf that only scored 160
Yeah,
tries.
you
Okay,
know,
Pearl, I'll get out of the
yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
people like that, where you just go, oh, he's the Ferrari. They're all big
Yeah.
ego Ferraris. Like that's
Yeah.
what they are.
Yeah, but they do. Like they put that, like, you know, like
Yeah.
anybody holds them down, they always turn to the touchdown.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
What, you got tackled? You got tackled.
So, and what the consequence of being that way is, I'm dropped. I'm not playing. How so? and you know what? I genuinely don't have a problem with a player being dropped in a negative way. Like you should be upset. You should be pissed off. You should be second guessing where your future lies. And I've said this before. Nobody knows better than Bronson Xerri about time out the game.
Yeah, that's right. So that's where it's hard for me to swallow. But as I said, I don't know. But just as a fan, so I got my fan's hat on now that you go, oh, he's got a bad attitude. And that's what's getting sold to all of us, right? That's what's coming across. But if you spent that much time out, you would think you'd have a pretty good attitude to it. You know what I mean? But, and in round one, I thought he was pretty solid. But the same as Shibasaki.
Yeah.
So it's the same situation, but we're not in there. But just see where it ends up. Melbourne Storm in a month.
He's got an attitude, and use that as a positive or a negative.
Yeah.
That same attitude. I'll go like Josh Morris, right?
Josh,
In his mind, he was better than GI.
yes.
And every Origin he went into, he went and said, "I'm better than him, and I'm going to go after him." And people like, and he played like he was, and he played like he was his equal. Like in this,
But you got to think that.
Exactly.
So that's not arrogant.
Yeah, it's not arrogant. It's not over. It's just I'm being, and it's specific. Or
the 10 days you fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
You know,
But like,
and
it's
then when you
almost-
get on the field, you go. Then after the game, you go, shit, they're good. You end up going, God, Joey's like, but you gotta like if you think they're better than you, don't take the field.
Yeah. Well, Gordy, we often hear of like battle of the fullbacks, right?
Yes.
And we did a game on Sunday. It was Turbo against Ponga, and the talk was, it's these two against each other, and whoever plays better out of Ponga and Turbo, that team will win. But they never come together, right? Very seldom would it be Ponga and Turbo in the same situation. We see halfbacks go up against each other. Oh, it's Cleary against Hughes, or it's Cleary against Reynolds, and we've seen that record. And it's almost like the record of I've seen that record like Cleary against whoever. They're not really getting after each other. They're both influencing each other's game. We see it like forwards go up against each other, but you've got a pack behind it, yeah. And it's very seldom that individual one-on-one. But with centres, there actually is. It actually is personal. And they have to be that way. There's a different psyche towards players that play in the centre, I believe, because it is the most individual battle that happens on the rugby league field. From what I've witnessed, being around football clubs for as long as I have, I'm observing the game for as long as I've had. I've seen McLean against Stephen Crichton last year. That was me against you. That was.
It's probably the last position that they can go.
Well, that was
one-on-one.
McLean last year. That was the Morris attitude.
Back rowers can probably go one-on-one as well. Back row centres, wingers are probably.
Back rowers also a lot of target would be the half. Like I'm going to go over my half. I need you, my half, to engage their back rower.
Yeah,
pull him out of shape and put me on top of their weaker defender in the half. But the centres, they do get one-on-one battles, and it's great to watch and witness. And I'm not deflecting here, but I'm just trying to give some insight into the mindset of these people. But
God, you don't like centres. That's just.
Who in particular did you obviously had some great centres? You played with Zach Lomax. You played with him when he was in the centres. Josh Morris.
Josh Morris.
And
Matt Gidley, Jamie Lyon.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
There's two goodies.
Very good.
I saw Matt Gidley in Vegas,
Yes.
actually. Did you see him? Are you home yet, Matt? Bloody Newcastle boys.
Yeah. Look, Xerri's not in the team, and I think we'll see this situation resolved.
There was some news that the Tigers were interested in him. That is not likely, I was told today. Because
Where does he play at Tigers?
Well, exactly. The Tigers don't really have the opportunity to have him. What it came
I think
out
because
was
they got the same manager.
exactly
as
Matt
Benji.
Desira is their
There was some,
manager. Yeah,
like-
Benji and him have the same manager. You're spot on.
That's
They wouldn't have the cap space.
Well, also, don't really need him. Yeah,
No.
Taylor May's out for a
Yeah.
month, but they were able to bring in Gerald Skelton stuff, and Toa's
Yeah.
still out. It's not really a need for them.
Yeah.
Um,
I think teams that are looking, well, obviously Melbourne
Storm's the
Melbourne
one,
were
isn't
looking
it?
for Lomax.
Yeah.
But again, like I've mentioned a number of centres there that are not playing this week. That, in my opinion, in their opinion, they should be.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Big signing for the Perth Bears. You coached against him during the Ashes. I don't know how to say his first name. Mikolaj Oletsky. Didn't I say his last name either? English international, Polish born, coming over from Leeds. He's played about 199 first grade games.
Jimmy would be better to speak to this.
Look, I'll be upfront and honest. Don't know that much about him. I've seen him play on a number of occasions. Obviously, got himself into the England squad, and I think it's a good signing for Perth Bears. Good strategy to go to England to get players to come over.
Direct flight, mate. Short flight.
Oh yeah. He's close to home.
He's close to
All
home.
he's got to do is a 20-hour flight to London.
16 hours.
16 hours to London. Then get from Heathrow to Hunts Cross or Euston. Get that train, then get the train from Euston to Leeds. I mean, he's
Little London, they call him Perth.
next to no time. He'll be there.
Yeah.
After spending a bit of time in the UK, he'll like Perth. But I'm going to give the English guys with the Aussies, the halves, obviously, because they don't week in, week out have the game management is what we like to call it over here. But everywhere else it was like equal. You know what I mean? So it comes down to getting them in a good system and working hard. Like, mate, they're willing, they're big. Like, you've looked at Herbie Farnworth the other day playing against the Titans. He's nearly the best player on the field, him and Tabuai. So they're up for it. Come out and get in a good system. Like all the English guys, they come out here with a great work ethic. They really add to our game because of the style. Like, they haven't been pigeonholed. As this is where you're playing, this is what you're doing. They're still a bit raw with their natural ability.
I think he'll bring something to that squad. Now, look, it's a big test for him, like it is with any English player coming over here, no matter the position. But I think the Perth Bears are building a strong roster there.
Strong?
They've got plenty of good, like what you would consider like 5 roster spot, 4, 5 to 20. That's what they're assembling.
They got 20
at the
more
moment.
signings to go.
Yeah, they've still got
right?
more.
Yeah, but who are they going to get?
But you wait till the movement. Like, you just wait. You know what I mean? And like that was Wayne. Like, I remember the Dolphins going through the same. I think it was Harry Grant, Kalen Ponga, Cameron Munster, Dave Fafita, Tina. They went through a lot. And they just sat there, and then all of a sudden they get the Melbourne guys. They got this, and it just kept them drip feeding. And they get a young kid in Katoa. Wow, you know what I mean? So there's guys sitting behind guys, and you know what I mean. Like, if you're sitting at Penrith, you're sitting behind internationals.
Yeah.
And some other clubs there's just good players. So that's what you do. You go to a club with the strongest people in that position and look who sits underneath them, because generally they've got a big stopgap in front of them. And they should be good enough to play.
So
and if they're at any other club, they probably would be playing.
So you're an owner now of a club.
Yep.
If you were sitting there, owner of the Perth Bears, looking at what currently is being built, you're not worried at all.
Well, it's hard with the salary cap era to build a roster, right? It took Brisbane 19 years with that front office, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's taken the Roosters now, it's 8 years, right? Like, these are big clubs. Well, it's taken Parramatta. Like, one of ours, it's what, 4, it's like, I don't know what, say 50, I don't know how many years. So, no, it's not easy building a roster, but to work with a Blake Canvas and go out there and pick who they want. They can hand pick and pick a style that they want to play. You know, everybody's like people come to Roosters and Serrato's got 6 players left or whatever since he walked in there. That's probably harder to do than go out there and hand pick the like for like people that you want to sit in your squad. So, and you don't get all of them, and you're going to miss out on a few. But you know, and I know that we had Terry Reader on 360, and he's talking to the. So I think everybody needs Perth to be successful, and I think clubs should be helping them out with certain players that they know that are going to be sitting behind. Like that are going to be sitting behind.
Check it. I've already mentioned 3 or 4 players in one position that would feel they deserve a spot in first team, which would be, in my opinion, all of them would be great signings. You've got a situation at the Raiders where you've got 3 dummy halves there.
Yeah, but they're young dummy half. He doesn't want to go. He's very much happy playing New South Wales Cup.
Yeah.
Are they?
Owen Paddy, very much happy playing New South Wales Cup.
Until a big carrot gets in front of him.
Yeah, and I get, we've seen that with Sanders. But then, how long? And you're happy until you're not, and until there's a hello.
An honest man hasn't been offered enough, and he can't say, "Yeah, I'm interested." When you're sitting, like, let's be honest, right?
He's not going to say.
So Paddy Carrigan just sits in the media, and I like Paddy. He said, "Oh yeah, but I'm interested." It was just, I reckon it's a throwaway line. He's there. That made people go, "Oh, tax-free money. Of course I'm interested." Then that was headlines for like 8 days. So that's Paddy Carrigan, right? And then there's a bit of pressure, a bit of squirming, a bit of shit going on in the change room. If you're a young kid and you're not, you can't really put yourself out there, and your manager can't try to sell you either to get your price up. So I reckon that situation is happening at a lot of clubs.
Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me to see or if it's probably already happening at this moment, that I think they would be talking with Ryan Pappenhausen about becoming the marquee player there.
Definitely, that's something that I'm sure they're talking about. But Pappenhausen, he might actually be done.
Yeah, he
playing
might
rugby
be,
league.
but he might not be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
because let's do a bit of connect the dots here. Oh, right.
Well, he's a golf caddy at the moment now. So I spoke to Pappenhausen on the phone the other day.
If he gets on the Live Golf Tour, he's not working. He's not coming back.
Yeah, well, 100%. Like,
if R360 was happening, is he playing in that tournament?
Probably.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, probably. But then,
Gordy, you think he's playing in?
Mate, I reckon that's an option, right? Especially like he had the knee, like he had some horrific injuries, right? And I think he's a little bit different. He's different gravy.
Yeah, simply a different sort of character.
Yeah, so maybe he just needed like a gap year, and he went travelling, and he's, ticked that box and thought, well, shit, I'm going to be a long time retired. I can come back and do this again in 3 years or 5 years. I might go back and give it one last crack.
Yeah. I think we'll see him back.
Chanel Harris-Tafita had a gap year not long ago, so we've seen it done. We've seen it done.
Should we get into the
yeah, we should. Although before we do that, wanted to ask you boys about the e-bikes quickly.
Oh, yeah.
The Roosters have put some restrictions on the e-bikes. They've got rid of the tandem. Not that they were promoting doing tandem e-biking, but they're not allowed to ride on them together anymore. There's a set speed limit. Sense? That's common sense. Yeah, it is. There's a set speed limit.
Like if I was doubling, I don't know, the law on an e-bike, is that...
I'm pretty sure the law is you've got to wear a helmet and you've got strict speed limit. And it's an individual bike.
Mate, because I sit up the top of the city there, like when I'm down, and the other day there was 3 police bikes sat there, and they were fining everybody.
For no helmets and things like that.
Just all stuff like that, and speeding and all that kind of stuff. So it's common sense. And do you know what? Like, I think it was in our... a few of the boys pulled up on motorbikes, and Wayne, you said you won't play here again. Mate, you won't play here driving and training on a motorbike.
Mate, so he banned motorbikes.
Yeah, Des was the same.
Right.
Who? Des Hasler was the same. Marty Tapau rocked up on a motorbike. Don't turn up on that thing again.
Wow.
So then he had to sit 3 hours in traffic instead of getting there in 30 minutes, getting through Sydney traffic. No, but listen, if you live in the eastern suburbs and you can get there and the traffic's bad, but just be sensible, right?
Well, just
and you come off, right?
Yeah.
The only thing, so Michael Jordan's the most famous motorbike rider. He used to ride, and the famous thing was he pulled up at a gas station. They went, "There's Michael Jordan." He had his basketball pants, basketball shoes, and he spoke about it on Oprah. He goes, "No, these bike riders saved my life." I said, "Mate." So the next day he went and got all the equipment and started riding bikes. But he was riding around Chicago because that was his passion. And he said it made me concentrate, and not on my bike riding, but on everything around me moving. And so there you go.
I think
could be a couple of Michael Jordans out there.
Park at the EQ and then walk to e-bike their way to the
they park at the entertainment quarter, the
entertainment
EQ
quarter, EQ, and then e-bike it down.
And Angus Crichton stacked it on a skateboard last year as well. So an electric skateboard. So
they go fast.
I mean, I don't get why you can't just walk from the car park. Is it that big a deal? Like it's like 10-minute walk.
It's the
max.
coolest thing to do now, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, I know.
It's cool. Like e-bikes are so cool.
Are they?
Yes. Like, well, up in Queensland, like they're if you're a 14 to 15-year-old kid, you got to have one. And then I'm pretty sure that they're getting them all for free. So now they've got a free bike. They got to get the names out there.
Yeah.
They've got to. I'll have one.
Well, someone got in trouble last year. I think did Ezra get in trouble last year for doing a sponsor?
We should get a fat boy.
I've only just learned how to ride a push bike.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I learned on my 40th birthday, which was in September. I got a bike for my 40th birthday. Learned.
You've never ridden a bike before?
I've tried and failed, and then just brushed it, and then so I got on my push bike
as a kid.
Yeah.
There's some footage of it somewhere as well of him learning.
I'm being serious.
Who taught you how to bike ride?
Me.
Dobbo?
Hey, just because you're on a push bike, I think.
There you go. Look at that. That's him learning to ride a bike. We can maybe stitch that into the YouTube, perhaps.
That's embarrassing.
It was real.
That's his wife, Taryn, cheering along.
Do you have white skins on? Do you have white skins on underneath that?
Mate, I'll tell you what.
Mate, that was in summer. That was there. We were down in Lake Conjola.
No, can I go back? So you, like at 8, didn't get a bike and ride the footy training?
No, well, mate, I lived that far away from footy. Couldn't have.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
Mate, I can't really judge you for bikes too much. I did a triathlon and I couldn't figure out how to change. I didn't do any practice for the bike, so I was borrowing my dad's bike, which I just grabbed out of a garage. It was thrashed and old, but I couldn't figure out how to change the gears. So there's footage of me riding this bike in this triathlon. I'm going I would have been faster off getting off the bike and just walking along. I did that for like 20 kilometers on the bike. It was cooked. I looked like I had some serious issues.
The e-bike riders around the Sutherland Shire are doing my head in a bit. They think they
mate, you got to join them, mate. Yeah, like they do.
I think that they, I'm walking.
Hey, listen. It's okay. They're outdoors. Let's give the kids a break here, right? Mate, so they were sitting indoors.
Go on the road.
No, stop it.
The path is for people.
Right? Stop it, right? Because we're whinging when they were sitting in the room and it'd be on their Xbox or whatever Game Boy they were playing. Now, mate, at least they're outdoors and they're going out with their mates and they're spending time. Listen, I think it's better for their mental health.
I reckon any wheels should be banned off footpaths.
Even skateboards.
Skateboards gone. Rollerblades gone.
No,
unicycles gone.
No,
e-bikes
scooters.
gone.
No.
Scooters gone.
No, see, so I got a problem with bike riders.
Said
no.
I've already said that. What's the difference between rollerblades?
Oh, wheelies. Talking about wheelies. Sketches. It's the wheelies.
Sketches gone.
Yeah.
No, see, I got a problem, right, with bike riders in car lanes. You don't pay rego, bros. You stay on the footpath.
No, footpaths for people. If you're, the only wheel I'll accept on a footpath is a wheelchair.
Okay.
Get your dogs off the footpath as well.
Dogs off the footpath. Where are they going then?
So where are they going?
You know what's doing my head in?
So you want a dog lane, footpath lane, wheelchair lane, and an e-bike lane?
If I'm walking down the path, right, why'd you keep your dog on the inside track? Get it on the outside track, because when I'm walking down, you want me to move for your animal onto the grass. Nah, see you later.
How big is this animal, though?
Well, they walk.
The dogs.
So imagine if we're walking down a path here, right, and this is the path. Sorry for those listeners. But if I'm on the left-hand side, which you should be, don't have your dog on the right-hand side of you, because that's the middle of the that's the middle of the walkway.
So basically, you have the dog on the outside.
Yes.
So the middle lane.
On the right. So you use the right hand. You're right. Put the dog lead in the right hand.
No, walk on the left and hold your dog on the left.
Yeah.
So then it's walking on the grass.
Yeah. Okay.
Get it out of my footpath.
Yeah,
because I'm
okay.
playing the game of chicken with you. I'm not moving.
Okay.
I'm just running straight, and if your dog gets trampled on, then so be it.
Yeah.
Same with your e-bikers. I'm going to shoulder charge one of them. It's just going to happen. I'm going to have to drop the shoulder into
You
one.
want to hope it's not Sam Burgess. Actually, he doesn't have a helmet big enough to fit him. He ain't getting on one.
There's a park near mine where there's a bike lane. The speed limit in the park's 30 kilometres, but the bikes fly through it like 50 kilometres an hour and then blow up if you're in their way. It's
They've got this sense of entitlement now.
It's terrible. Let's preview the round.
Yeah, let's preview the round.
That's a eastern suburbs problem.
Yeah. Preview the round though, because Canberra might have a Western Sydney problem when the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs come out. And Papali'i's back. Cherry's obviously dropped. They're the only changes. Pretty much evens on Ladbrokes. Who do you like in this one? Jimmy, I'll go to you first.
Look, I'm obviously going to go with the Dogs. Refreshed after that bye week in the news. But I feel they're going to build off their performance. The Raiders, though, come back from New Zealand, tail between their legs a little bit. Huge inclusion for Papali. We think back to last time these two sides played down in Canberra. Raiders will be looking for revenge from that. It's the Raiders' first, I guess, challenge against a top 4 side so far this year. Defeated Manly, go over to New Zealand, but big test for the Raiders, but back in the Dogs.
Gordy?
Both sides have to improve. The Dogs certainly have to improve on what they dished up in round 1 against the Dragons. And the Raiders, we thought it was really good against Manly. Brookvale, after watching them last week, we go, well, they're not quite up there. And against the Warriors, that was a pretty high quality game for the conditions. They were in it for 60 minutes. So I'm going to go the Raiders. I reckon they might bounce back because I reckon they've had a couple of tougher games.
Friday night, we've got one of the best Friday nights of footy I've ever seen, honestly.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Roosters v Penrith is a 6 o'clock game. Reece Robson's back. Liam Martin's back. For Penrith, they lose Jack Cogger, who failed his HIA in the game on the weekend. 6 o'clock. They should try and sell this out. I know it won't because it's Friday 6 o'clock, but
where?
It's at Allianz. If you're in the city, you're
They
working.
would sell it out.
They should do.
Mate, the Roosters, all those guys that are around Paddo or whatever they do, they just go to the pub after work. They leave at 4:30, have a couple of skewies and sneak down. That's a great Friday night.
It is a great game.
And plus you're home early.
Absolutely.
Mate, you can even go home and take a pizza home to the wife and kids. How good's that?
Or you can go to the Paddo Inn after and kick on after the
Just
game.
straight to the
if you
light.
want.
It does promise to be a great game.
Panthers.
Yeah, Robson back. I'm interested to see how he looks in a Roosters jersey. Lots of it probably under the radar a little bit, that got overshadowed by DCE, but they're going to have their hands full breaking down this Penrith defence.
Yeah.
And
Penrith.
for the brilliance of some of the Roosters players, I don't know. They've got a shocking record against the Panthers too, and I think the Panthers will defensively grind them out.
If Penrith win this game quickly, and every week they're shortening on the premiership odds, like every single week. They're now under 475. A couple of weeks ago, you could have got $6 for them. If they handle the Roosters easily, are they the clear premiership favourites?
At the moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like the way they bounce out, look, they were in a bit of a drought, the Panthers. 12 months of not winning. And they were close, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and just the way that they reset, like they put a play on last week and how they get back into the positions. They're well coached. They're on fire. They're going to be really hard to beat. It's a big challenge, especially with Rabbits. With the Roosters against South, like that emotional build up, the arch rivals, breaking the try record. I reckon, the Roosters, it'll be a great win if they can get up, but I think the Panthers will be too good.
I think as well, the Panthers are, it went away a little bit last year, but they've already got that mental edge before the game starts. Like, if you play against Panthers,
Yep.
we're gonna have to do something. We're gonna have to do something exceptional to break this team down. one try conceded in 160 minutes of football, you're already thinking like, what do we do? How do we counteract? What's our play to get over?
And the Roosters have a poor record against them. I think they
Terrible.
beat them last year.
It's terrible.
When the Panthers had that lull, but it's not a great record against.
Sorry,
them.
they did beat them last year, didn't they?
Yeah, well, the Roosters have had a terrible record against not just Penrith, but the Storm. Like
Storm
the
as
big
well,
dogs,
yeah.
they just can't beat them. The true big dogs. Then the Friday night, then the other game, Storm,
massive.
Broncos. Well, Storm are huge favourites. So if Ladbrokes are right, Broncos are going to be 0-3, which is dramas after winning the title. A couple changes. Trent Lierro's back from suspension. Alec McDonald's in the extended squad, so he's a chance of returning after that concussion in round 1. Cooper Clark stays on the bench. He's been a great find for them, but obviously Adam Reynolds ruled out. Shibasaki dropped as well, and Willison comes in for Gajewski.
I like Willison
on an edge.
I prefer him in the middle, but I like him starting. And we're going to see what Brisbane are all about. They went down to Melbourne last year, and that game where they got the 3 injuries, you'd hope you'd see a bit more steel and a bit more attitude from the Broncos defensively, because if they don't, Melbourne will destroy them. Like, they'll absolutely... If Melbourne play like they have been doing, and Brisbane turn up defensively without an attitude, forget systems, attitude I'm talking here, they could be in massive trouble.
Yeah, well, if you're talking wax lyrical about the Panthers, the Storm are in the same boat. Like, the players that they lose, they can find a fullback, can't they? Right?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they're professional. They just keep on going. Harry Grant, right? Like, what a player that he is turning out to be, and they love playing Brisbane. And Brisbane don't have a great record down there. That's one thing, but being the defending premiers, getting that big monkey off their back in the grand final last year, it should be a great clash. I think if Brisbane turn up with the right attitude, you give them a chance, but you'd probably have to say Storm. You can't go against them, can you, Melbourne?
No, not at home, not on form. Looking forward to seeing Stefano Utoikamanu, because he put that jab out last year, didn't he? With they're a bit stuck up, the Broncos, and then Broncos rightfully replied with after winning the grand final. It was all fun at that time, but now it's Stefano's opportunity to return.
He hasn't said anything this week, has he?
I wouldn't have thought so. Coach Bellamy probably just tipped him up.
Knights Warriors then Saturday. A couple changes as well for this one. Obviously, Tuapiki comes in because you got Chancellor Klukstad's ruled out. Chanel Harris-Tavita's ruled out as well. So we've got Luke Hansen making his debut. Catewell got ruled out before the game on last Friday with the calf injury. So Halasima starts again. Mitch Barnett's
Halasima.
Wow. Lecker. He's a freak, isn't he?
Hey, unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. Yeah, no, look, this is a hard one because the Knights, the way they played last week, right? And even when their big players went off, what they did, but I think the Warriors they're a bloody good footy side. Like, mate, we underestimated them.
Oh, yeah.
And then how they've started the season, there hasn't been great conditions. Really happy for Tanner Boyd. He sort of struggled a little bit, but it's sort of, he's found his straps, he's got his confidence, and the Warriors are just like, and they look really happy, competing really hard, and you would never have said that about mate, they just compete for everything. So it's a big challenge without the Knights' big guns, right? It's just they were fantastic in the second half against Manly, but you just go the Warriors, I'd say.
Is there any worry for Knights with Ponga? He's only played 20 games in a season once in the last 6 years, and it's going to be another year with him out 6 to 8 weeks.
It was freakish. Like it was freakish. He didn't have a lot of preseason, had a bad foot, come back, and when he pushed Saab, it was sort of like an overstretch. Like, he just, that's unlucky. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as if he's, just cantering along. So, and then when he grabbed it, I might say the Knights club, I reckon he's not going to be out that long. Not that I'm a doctor, but it didn't look, because he sort of got up and he started running again. Like, normally if it's 6 to 8 weeks, it's not. You know what I mean? Like, normally they actually get carried off.
Yeah, it didn't look.
It didn't look so bad because he tried to run through it.
I think gets underrated though how tough he is because he always tries and push through. Remember he did his Liz Frank and then played a finish the game off with against the
Dogs.
He does try and tough things out.
Oh, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, people think he's like pretty flashy player, but he's a tough guy. Yeah.
Warriors surprised me how good they've been going, and no better time to play the Knights. Like without KP and Brown, like Ponga has started with a real attitude. I think he's trying to show the comp just how good, and a reminder. Again, spoke at the start of the show about egos and there's 4 or 5 fullbacks that can make a genuine case for I'm the best fullback in the comp. Like genuine, like on any given day, any given week, it can change from Teddy to Walsh to Hammer to Ponga
to Tommy,
to Latrell. They all, and I think Ponga's come with a bit of an attitude this year. It's like, I'm just going to remind everyone. Hello, Dylan Edwards as well is another one that plays a different style of game, but I think he'd be really missed in the Warriors. I think they'll march on with their unbeaten record.
Nice 3-0 to start the year. How good. The late game, or the middle game, I should say, Sharks v Dolphins. No changes for the Sharks, no changes for the Dolphins. How are you boys feeling about the Dolphins now after 2 weeks, 2 scrappy performances?
Yeah, they're really nervous. Like I went to that game, I walked down and watched Titans, and both sides were nervous, just to get that first victory. The way they finished their last 20 minutes, Herbie Farnworth started to run the ball, started to get through them. They started to kick, and they come over the top of the Titans. And Tabuai Fado, like he's one of those guys that can walk around and just slide it up. And Plath, and they got the usual suspects, but with Plath and Iraq and Gilbert, Flegler, I give him a chance. The Sharks, they were brilliant in round 1, and they'll probably pretty ordinary in round 2. But I do give the Dolphins a chance. Maybe the pot of Dolphins might beat the school of Sharks. That's an upset.
The next 2 games on Friday, this one and the next one.
Saturday.
On Saturday. Really, really interesting games. Looked at the Sharks probably come away from Bathurst a bit.
Their ego would be in check.
Yeah, a bit mentally. We need to find some more gears if we're going to give this a shake. Are we just going to be the team that is there to make up numbers in the final series, get a couple of wins, and that's it? So, but they've got a full season to get that figured out. But the Dolphins, I think, watching them on Sunday, like you say, Gordy, they looked a bit nervous, but now they've got that win. I think that'll settle them down, and I think the Sharks might just get the win, though. They might just have enough.
This is our same game, multi-game, this one as well, Jimmy. We're going head-to-head every single week this year. Who have you got?
In my same game multi, I've got the Finns plus 7.5 points.
Okay.
For the line. I've got over 55.5 points total match points, and then I've got the duos of Farnworth and Katoa, the Sharks Katoa, 2 or more tries between them, which is paying $6.47, my friend.
Well, we could both be on to a winner this week then, because I've also got the Dolphins plus 7.5. But
it's a
great
option.
line.
Good
great
option.
line.
Yeah,
Very, very generous line, I think, for the Dolphins. Plus 7.5. The Hammer and Britton Nickera to score any time, paying $8.41.
That's as individuals. It's not the duos.
Not as the duos, just individuals,
okay.
which is why I've got a little bit more value than you. I'd rather
fair.
the $8 line, the $8 amount personally.
You're the man.
That's right.
Yeah.
I am the man. Thank you for saying that. But of course, gamble responsibly,
Absolutely.
as we always say. Emma Lawrence calling this game as well on Triple M, Gordy. This is her first ever game, first ever female to do play-by-play commentary. Emma's in the hot seat Saturday at 5:30.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Sharks Dolphins. Yeah.
Good on her. Good luck, Emma.
Yeah.
I'm
cool.
sorry I had to miss that. You called me up and see if I could do it, but unfortunately, I'm.
You're going to the Tillies, aren't you?
To cheer on Korea or Japan. So, yeah, I am.
Are your kids going to be supporting the Tillies?
Well, they're Australian.
Yeah, I know, but are they English at their heart?
No, they're not. They're Australian with an English father.
Yeah, okay.
Like
in
my
and a Canadian
opinion,
mother.
but they are Australian.
Yeah, okay.
It's like the Englishman in New York.
something like that. No, they're Australian, and I'm English, and I'm
You're an
paying
alien.
the Matildas
I'm a
the
legal
respect
alien.
that they deserve, which
Yeah.
is
I'm an
me not
English
supporting them.
man in
Yeah, I like it.
New
I
York.
like it. Saturday night, Rabbitohs Tigers. Jamie Humphries back from suspension. Your man Tallis Duncan back starting.
I like Tallis. He's a good player. Love his name.
Great name.
Love
Named
it.
after you.
But I tell you what, he's actually turned into, like, mate, when Cam Murray was out, he sort of filled in and they threw him in the centres. He's one of those guys, but I just love to see Wayne slot him somewhere and just let him grow his career. I think he's going to have a good one. But look, I'm going to go to the Tigers. I actually really like Benji Ball. Like I loved how young and enthusiastic they were. And I know it's South on the trial, but what did they have to do emotionally last week, to get up, and even Wayne at halftime, so animated. They were going to wire up Alex Johnson. He pulled the wire out and he threw it. So that's not normally Wayne, right? So how emotional he was to get that victory last week, that's the X factor.
Yeah.
That is the X factor.
If the Tigers can fatigue South's middles like they did to the Cowboys, they'll be in trouble. They were helped, they earned some 6 games, but off the back of that, the offload.
Yeah.
And South's middle are still, look, as great as Murray and Keon are, I still think they're missing a little bit.
They are a bit light on. Well,
and
Keon had 17 carries in the first week or something, like when we caught him, in the first half.
I worry that the Tigers are going to deplete them. And look, obviously, you speak about Wayne, Benji v. Wayne. He was his coach, the master, the apprentice. I've got a feeling about the Tigers as well.
Yeah, wow. I'm going to go the Bunnies just to go against you two. But Sunday Arvo, Eels, Dragons. DeBellin moves to the bench. Jack Williams goes to lock. Hopgood in the front row. And obviously Flanagan and Atkinson are good to go for the Dragons, which is great news. Yeah.
Eels.
I'm surprised.
Mitchell Moses hasn't even touched the surface yet. In their 2 games, obviously they got dusted in round 1, but even against Brisbane, for Mitchell standing in the game, he was a little bit quiet, and Jonah Peasant had a lot. So he kicked fantastic, but Mitchell's about to have a breakout, you would think. So I'm going to go the Eels.
I'm surprised DeBellin's gone to the bench against his old club. I know he would have been, and you think he's named in jersey 18.
He is, yeah.
Whether or not that, I don't know. I think I would have preferred to see him start. I know he was at that club for so long. I think he's 33, 34. Seems strange to not just let him get that moment over and done with, rather than sitting on the bench waiting.
Yeah, especially if he's in 18, he doesn't play. Because I'm not a good judge of it, but I thought DeBellin was one of Parramatta's best against the Broncos.
Yeah, I like Williams in the middle though. I think that, and I think you've got to play Kelma Tuolangi. Like we saw what he did against the Broncos. He didn't get game time in that first week against Melbourne. Now, obviously, that's not the reason they lost, and we spoke about them bringing on Papali instead of reshuffling a few things. But I love Kelma Tuolangi playing. I love Jack Williams in the middle, but I just thought with DeBellin, his history against that with that football club, just get it over and done with. Let him go out there and play.
Yeah, I like it.
But you've already said I'm going to go the Eels in this one. The Dragons, they've been up a number of weeks.
They're trying hard.
Yeah, they're trying
they're
so
scrapping
hard.
and fighting.
And if they can continue with that effort level, I just think it might be a bridge too far. And I think Gordy's right in terms of what Moses is going to bring.
They're a different team at CommBank as well, aren't they, Parramatta?
Yes, they are.
Final game, Gordy, your Titans desperate for a win.
This is my same game multi. Titans to win. Gordon have 8 schooners, then have dumplings, spring rolls, and some salt and pepper prawns when we win.
Delicious. Were you happier with what you saw from the Titans in week 2?
Well, week 1 was against what we've worked hard on and our connection, and then week 2 we were really good for 65 minutes. Got held up 3 times. But we didn't get the win, and we were sort of gassed towards the end of the game, and we're going against the desperate Cowboys. Both sides are desperate, but I know if we put in the effort and we can get across the line like we did last week, we're still learning. I thought we were good. We just got to be better, and the Cowboys, they're like Cotter's back. That's a
Yeah.
big one, mate. He's the glue. They really missed him. Like you spoke about the Tigers going through the middle. Well, he is the middle.
I worry for the Cowboys in this game. When you're on the back foot, playing a team like the Titans with the quality that they have, like an attacking minded side, I think the Titans will get the win.
Geez, if they lose this Cowboys, you pretty much put a line through Peyton.
I reckon there's a lot of pressure on there.
Because their next few games after that are tough.
It's pretty tough.
They had the soft start. They really had to get off to a fly because in the week after they've got the Storm. A couple of weeks later they got the Broncos.
Yeah.
Which could be a spoon bowl. You never know if they're both 0-5 at that stage. Who knows? But great to have you in, Gordy. Absolute pleasure.
Good. So good. This is a slow news week.
It is, mate. But you've spiced it up for us.
Yeah. Just the garbage.
Do you know what? And I thought, it's gone. I was really kind to him this week. And then Madge. Poking the bear.
Poking the bear, indeed. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget, if you haven't already signed up to our Patreon, there are 2 exclusive shows a week on there, Monday and Friday. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and all that jazz, as it does really help. We will catch you next week.